It's Wednesday, December 19th, Thursday, December 20th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North, on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you nightly on the SOR Radio Network at Deep Talk Radio. And if you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, soon shop at our brand new store, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and so much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel in Suho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Go to spacedoutradio.com, click on the Insuho banner, and subscribe today. For the final time of 2018, we talk ghosts of the Great White North, as Mike Morin, better known around these parts as Merle, Merle, joins us from Haunted Crew of Canada to discuss the weird and strange happenings up here. Yes, America, we aren't all boring up here. Curling, donuts, moose, beavers, hockey pucks. No, we got some good paranormal action happening across the 49th. Joining us tonight is Morgan Knudsen. Morgan is one of Canada's top paranormal researchers. She's based out of Edmonton, Alberta. You may recognize her name from the ever-popular television show Haunted Hospitals, where she literally travels all over investigating hospitals that have been closed and locked down. So we should be in for some good story time tonight. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine is back with another edition of the SOR Newswire. Little Mikey Morin, Mr. Merle, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. I like how I have multiple names. It's great. Doing great.
Merle,
how are you doing, Dave?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, sometimes when a plan starts to come together, it always makes for a good day. Energizes the follicles, so we speak. And I can tell you, today I've probably grown another 1/4 inch of hair on the back. On my head, not my back, but the back of my head. Absolutely. It's been fantastic.
You're still growing that out, eh?
Yeah, this is where you speak, you know.
My microphone, but we're good now. We're good, for real.
All right. So we got Morgan Knudsen with us tonight. She's out of Edmonton, Alberta. She is a student of the paranormal, if we could call her that. She is very popular in the television series runs going on around the United Kingdom and the United States, a little bit in Canada as well. Morgan, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time.
Thank you guys for having me. This is lovely.
Oh, we're glad to have you. You know, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit here because you live in the middle of hockey country, and you don't even cheer for your Edmonton Oilers. I'm very disappointed. As an Oilers fan, I hurt bad here.
Honestly, sports is all sports ball to me. That's all I see. I just see sports ball. I'm too artsy for like sports stuff. And it's funny because when I was a kid, when I was really, really little, like 4 or 5, I was the most ridiculously huge Oilers fan. Like I was hockey obsessed when I was a kid, and it was almost like I just wore myself out. I think that's what happened.
Well, I get that, and I can appreciate that. Your love of ghosts has taken over from your love of Gretzky, Messier, Anderson, Fuhrer. You know,
yeah,
coffee.
And I met them too.
Oh.
I met them as a kid, and like I know, right? It's not the same anymore. It's the old team, man.
I know,
it's the old team.
I know, but we still got Connor.
Not the same.
We still got Connor.
That's true.
Thing. And he's got great hair. He's grown it out. He's got great hair as well.
I'm sensing a hair theme tonight.
It's always a hair theme on this show.
There's always a hair theme. I like this.
We appreciate good hair, male or female, does not matter. As long we appreciate good hair around here, but especially for the men, we appreciate a high quality mustache and beard as well.
I usually roll.
You're not biased or anything. Mm-hmm.
No, well, you know what? You have to. You have to appreciate that. And when we set up the new SOR Space Travelers Club, we're going to have a little bit of a forum in there. So literally, people who have nice hair and a good mustache and beard can actually post in there with nice shots, up-to-date shots of their facial hair, or their
do
mane.
They get like
one of the two.
preferential treatment though if they have facial hair? Like, do they get perks?
We're going to figure that out. We'll probably come up with a special Spaced Out Radio T-shirt for that.
I think so. I think if you know if you're pushing it and you're going that direction, I think people that sign up that should have beards, they deserve something, you know.
There might be something there. Could very well be
strong comb over. Good strong comb over always wins.
Yes, I would agree with that. You know, that's where Mike takes the cake, right there.
I have a nice strong
Merle.
lid. Yeah, Merle takes the cake.
Yeah.
Merle is always looking good. But let's get to you a little bit, Megan, or Morgan, pardon me, and let's introduce you to our audience here. How did you get involved in the paranormal field? Because up here in Canada, it's still quite a taboo subject.
It is a little bit. It's so strange here. We've got such a different attitude than other countries. But my great-great-grandfather, when I was way back in the early 1920s, he actually started the first paranormal association in Canada, and he was very well known as a physician and whatnot in Ontario, and his name was Albert Durant Watson, and he published 2 books on the subject, which were really beyond their time. And he was criticized heavily because he was extremely well known and reputable person in the medical field. So it was a big deal at the time. And it's funny, I didn't know about that until about 6 years into my company, Entity Seeker Research and Teachings. And you know, it was kind of a shocker to find out. But I had experiences when I was really young, which absolutely terrified me, and then they absolutely fascinated me after that. And it was just something I couldn't let go of. It's an incredible phenomenon.
It really is. And as you grew up with it around your family, so this was never something weird or strange or out of the ordinary for you. That's rare.
Well, you know, it's funny because my grandmother, I don't remember her much at all, but she apparently told both my parents that if they were to do anything with me, it was to keep me the heck away from this subject. Don't let her get into this, you know, don't let her do this, you know, whatever. And then, well, that, you know, failed. But yeah, it wasn't really talked about until I started to really push the subject. And it became so fascinating to me. I mean, I wouldn't have let it go anyway.
When you were growing up and you were going through this, did you have your own personal experiences that kind of set you off, or was it just the setup because your family was intrigued by this?
No, it was. I had no idea at that age, because the first time I had something happen was I was about 8, and we lived in a home in Surrey there, actually, and it was active with some type of entity. Looking back, I would love to go back and understand it, but I had a experience where I was coming down the stairs of we were living in this little townhouse at the time, and I was coming down the stairs. It was really early in the morning. I thought my mom and dad were up, and I could hear somebody in our kitchen, and it was probably 5 in the morning, and I got to the stairs, and you could see the kitchen, but the light was on. Somebody was in there. And I said hello, and I remember immediately the kitchen noises completely came to a stop. And I knew there was this intuitive instinct that just told me, oh, something's not right. Something's up. And I heard footsteps in the kitchen, and that was at that point I clued in. I'm like, that's not mom and dad. Like, there's something going on. And I at that point sort of came down the stairs, tried to turn the living room light on, couldn't get that on for the life of me. And it was this sort of opaque type shape that came out from the kitchen and just got right in my face, rushed me really fast. And it scared the living hell out of me. I ran back up the stairs, and I guess I was yelling for help because I don't remember. But my mom and dad met me halfway down the stairs, and my dad had an old billy club from his brother. His brother was a cop, and he thought somebody had broken into the house. And when he came downstairs, the first thing he did was turn that living room light on, and it went on with like no problem. There was nobody in the house. But the incident freaked me right out. But once I got over that, it was like what just happened? And that just spurred the interest from there.
Now, as you decided to get involved with this and start investigating more, what did you know about paranormal investigation, and how did you go about finding a team or building a team?
Well, I started quite young. I mean, I had no social life when I was in school at all. My best friend, Stephanie and whatnot at the time, the two of us we spent a lot of time with our nose in the books. And, we were reading, everybody from, Lloyd Auerbach to, all these different investigators and learning and understanding, what the science was and what they were doing. And we didn't attend school dances. This is what we did all night. And we began to realize that there was a pattern with these people that were having these experiences, and the type of experiences they were having were very highly tied to their emotional state and their state of being, and sort of where they were in their heads. And when we started to see this pattern, we were like, okay, there's something to this. And little did we know our program, Teaching the Living, at that point was going to be born from that to actually reach out and help clients. But we knew we had to get a team together that was going to be not our buddies, but our colleagues. And so what we did was we started to look for people like architectural technologists and engineers and medical professionals and this kind of thing. And we started interviewing. But we knew it couldn't be, a bunch of buddies that were hanging out. It had to be people that were going to come in, they were going to do their job, give us the information we needed. Because oftentimes you can have the instinct, you can hire the intellect. So that's how we kind of went about it. And then, Teaching the Living came out of that, where we realized that, if we can get these people to really understand how their emotional state and is affecting the environment around them, we can start to change what they're receiving. And it's been, that way ever since.
Mike, you know how to put together a team, and you've done it for yourself with Haunted Crew of Canada. When you listen to what Morgan said about putting together a paranormal team, I mean, you literally have to wade through sometimes numerous people in order to find a real group that clicks, don't you?
You do. The current team, I don't say I say our team. We, I guess I picked it. I handpicked investigators from a couple other teams that I felt if we were all together, we would make a really good, mature, progressive team. And I found we've gone through, in my old team, we went through tons of members, because most members, they want to go do the investigation, they want to have fun, they want to pee their pants and get scared, but they never want to do the aftercare or the evidence analysis. And you could hire, or go, we don't hire, we accept 20 investigators, and maybe 3 of them will be good enough to go do the evidence, do the aftercare, and actually be mature about it. It's really hard to actually get a good team together, in my opinion.
Well, the aftercare is everything, and that's where people fall down on this stuff. I find is that, they get involved with these people and they don't understand the state that a lot of our clients end up in. They're about to sell their home, or they have sold their home and they're house poor, and they don't know what to do, or they're fighting and on the verge of a divorce because their spouse doesn't believe them, or and you get involved with these people and you realize it's not a joke the way a lot of people think it is.
No, I agree. And when you go to these places, people are relying on you to help them. They are trusting in you to help
exactly.
them. And a lot of people don't think that far ahead to an investigation. When I start an investigation, I'm already thinking of the solution on how we can get it done.
Well, I think
that's exactly how it has to be.
Exactly. And sorry for interrupting there. I think, though, that brings up a very good question that Mike just said, Morgan. Help. So many different paranormal teams out there have a different definition for help. What is your definition for it? Because in my opinion, and I could be completely wrong, but when you send in a paranormal team into your home or your place of business, you should be there to help and get rid of that spirit, or come to some sort of understanding that both can live civilly together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of that is to get people to understand that not everything is terrifying. Not knowing is okay. And so, I mean, the big thing is, first of all, is to define what it is that your client is asking for. What is it that's going to make them happy? Because your version of happy might not be their version of happy. So that's really the first thing to start to understand. And for us, what we start to do is we really do a deep dive on the clients, because they ultimately, what we found is that there's such a tie between their way of being in the world and the type of things that they're attracting. And that for us is really key. And so to be able to go in, figure that out, break down the family dynamic and figure out what's going on, whether it be a family or business, and, start to weed out sort of that negativity that they've got going on, because we find that once that aspect of it is cleaned up, whatever it is, like, we've had clients that have suffered, trauma and abuse and all sorts of different things. And sometimes it takes them turning around, getting a referral and going back to therapy. Sometimes it takes them getting their passion back. Sometimes it takes, who knows what it is for them. But our thing is we do it until we work to criteria. There's no deadline. And that's really the big deal for us, is how do you get people from the space they're in this sort of, negative headspace when we're dealing with the negative activity, to a place where they start receiving something different. So our definition of help depends on the client, but that's always the goal.
And that's the way it should be, in my opinion, because too many times, and Mike, you can jump in here as well, too many times we see these different groups, they're there for pure selfish reasons. They're there for the thrill, the ghost hunt, to maybe get scared or a little freaked out. And really, the client always seems to become secondary, or they're there to tell whether or not the home is haunted. And there is a group in Edmonton who does that. I have no problem calling them out, right? Mm-hmm. They've been on this show.
Yep.
I kicked them off the air, right? And I know my fans will be rolling their eyes. Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Wasn't that the one, Dave, where you actually cracked a beer on the air because you just couldn't take it anymore? Exactly. That's the group. That's
I was
the group.
there for that one.
Yeah, it was painful, but nonetheless, I mean, when it comes down to it, when you have teams who are there to debunk whether or not a place is haunted, they're calling you because they believe it's haunted. That's why you're coming there. They already know it's haunted. Yep. So what are you supposed to do? You go in there for 4 hours when they have a lifetime of experience, and you're supposed, oh no, this place isn't haunted. Come on, people. Drives me nuts.
Well, I think too, there's, Alberta, I don't know if this is the same case in BC, but we kind of have an interesting issue in Edmonton with high electromagnetics in buildings. And that's been really interesting, because these higher levels of electromagnetic fields, whether it be from poor wiring, or usually it's poor wiring. We've got ridiculously bad copper wires in a lot of our buildings here. And what's interesting is that we've had it where the signs and symptoms of being around those levels of electromagnetics will really screw with your senses. So one of the first things that we've learned to check for here is what the heck the wiring's doing, because people are, they'll report seeing shadows out of their peripheral vision. They have horrific, sleep issues. They hallucinate stuff, all sorts of weird things that come with it. And that's one of the things that we've really had to look for, because it can mirror that haunting phenomenon so easily. And I don't know if BC's got the same issue. I know there's probably newer areas there, but I know Edmonton it's bad for it.
We
Mike,
do. There's a lot of
that?
there's a lot of non-permitted electrician work being done in a lot of the old buildings where we'll take some of our gadgets like a millimeter or K2 and lurk around the buildings trying to find where all this electromagnetic energy is coming from. And a lot of times that is the answer. There's too much of that going on, and again, we will provide a solution to the client of how to stop that. But a lot of times they still think it's Satan lurking around in their washroom, right? But the older buildings, the 70s and 80s buildings are pretty notorious for that. The copper overuse of copper wiring, I like to say.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
We only got about 2 minutes here before we got to go to our first break of the night. Morgan, when you are looking around Edmonton, and it's Canada's northernmost, most populated city, how is it for hauntings there and in the prairie communities and cities around?
Edmonton's really interesting because we've got quite a strange history here, and the Edmonton River Valley's got a very interesting geological makeup as well. We sit on a quartz bed because of volcanic land that used to be here. And so there's really interesting electromagnetic readings and stuff like that, some really fascinating activity that we've caught in our river valley.
That's very interesting. And, you know, you have, the Fort Saskatchewan River running right through. So you do have that main water source.
Yeah, the Saskatchewan River is sort of our river valley area, and there's some communities down and around the river valley area that have experienced some really fascinating stuff. And one of the things that we've seen and been able to catch on camera are these incredible little lights that show up, and they're extremely bright. They're multiple different colors. They create all sorts of really interesting, elaborate patterns and whatnot, and they're still unexplained. We sent the photos to the Society of Entomology. They don't know what it is. We've at one point thought that they might be plasma because of the quartz bed underneath, because when you apply pressure to quartz, it's what ends up happening. But we still have not been able to come up with an explanation for it, and it's pretty cool.
I think it is too. You know, one of the things that I'm very interested in getting into in the second half hour with you here, Morgan, is the fact, before we get to some stories, is the fact that you are coming at this from an educational background. I'm not going to say science, but an educational background, trying to figure everything out and why it is happening. Yet, majority of teams out there do not do that. I'm very impressed, as time's winding down here, that you're doing it that way. And I think it's real nice to see. It's a nice change of what the paranormal community is used to. Wouldn't you say that, Mike?
Thank you.
Yes, I would. I fully agree. I think the education over the science is good because it's more, you educate yourself. Yeah, street cred over book smart.
Mike, Merle, you and Morgan hold on here because we're going to break here on Spaced Out Radio. More Ghosts of the Great White North right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
we're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything is an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Second Wednesday, make that the third Wednesday of every month, we have Mike Morin on with us for Ghosts of the Great White North. We are also joined by paranormal investigator and reality TV star Morgan Knudsen out of Edmonton, Alberta. Mike and Morgan, welcome back.
Hello. Nice to be back.
Now, Merle, you apparently have a story you need to share before we go any further.
I do. I've been chomping at the bit about this just because it happened at work today. It's not paranormal related, but it made me giggle pretty hard inside because it made me think of you immediately and the reaction you would give me. So I have
well, now we need to hear it.
Yes. So at work, I'm in a two-man car. Like there's two of us because the area I've been working in, it's pretty shady and dangerous. And anyhow, radio's on. We have Radio Wars. And Paradise City comes on. Okay.
Nice.
Yep.
And I start to vigorously fist pump to it, like I'm at the concert, like I think I'm there. I'm feeling the song. And my partner, she looks at me. She's looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, what? You don't know this song? She's never heard the song, and she didn't know who the band was.
You got to be kidding me. She should be fired.
That
immediately.
That
is grounds for dismissal, right there.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
You know what? You tell her tomorrow. You tell her tomorrow that I officially dislike her, and I never want to speak to her.
The vigorous fist pumps did not help.
Yeah, no. She needs some re-education and retooling. See, this is why I worry about the future. This is exactly why. If you do not know the greatest song ever recorded in history, people, Paradise City by Guns N' Roses, you have an illness. You have an illness that needs to be fixed immediately. You need a straight
I'm waiting
jacket.
for the Twitter feed. I'm waiting for the Twitter feed or something that start blowing up with every other song that people think are the greatest songs on the planet.
No, there is only one.
She didn't even know the Axel sway, when he does the singing when he's getting right into it.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I even did it.
How old is this?
Help.
How old is this lady?
I'm not going to comment. 25.
Okay, she's in her.
That's why.
My 5-year-old son. My 5-year-old son. I walked into my living room the other day, and he's sitting in front of the fireplace, playing Paradise City, singing along to it. I looked at myself and I said, "Damn it, Dave, you're a great dad. You're just the best dad ever. Listen to that song your son is playing."
Yeah, you know what though? It's that age group though that they've never even been to a Blockbuster, right? Like if you turn, I was in the car with one of my investigators. We were driving along. We were picking up this one friend of hers who was quite young, about the same age, and we're driving along. And Callie said something about a video store, and the girl looked up and she's like, "What's a video store?" And we both looked at each other, and it was just, it was the worst moment. It was the worst moment. I couldn't believe it.
I am just, you know what? I want to shake this girl. I want to shake her. I do.
It's okay, Dave. And to top it off, I'm not exaggerating, not even a little bit. Okay. She didn't even know because Sweet Child of Mine came on later. Didn't know that one either. Okay, we're done talking about it. Next, on to ghosts.
No. This is important topics here. This
Dave
is very
not
important.
Done.
Oh no. I'm going to tell you right now, Mike. I'm going to have to file a letter of complaint. I will need her name, her employee number, and time of the incident, because the fact that we have an early 20s person on this planet who does not know the greatest song ever recorded by the greatest band in the world is terrible. Now, I hope Bumblefoot isn't listening to this, because I know him and Axel had a falling out back in 2014. So, Mr. Bumblefoot, if you're listening,
I'm sure if you
ixnay what I just said.
I'm sure if you whisper. Oh, I'm going to say, I'm sure if you whisper, he won't hear you.
Well, either way. Apparently his parting from GNR back in 2014 after the Las Vegas residency wasn't pretty. So,
ouch.
You know, and Bumblefoot is our official music here. So I am on Team Bumblefoot before I'm on Team GNR. But GNR is still number one in my heart. And Paradise City, greatest song ever recorded. Ever.
All right. Let's put Guns N' Roses back in the crevice.
All right.
The crevice.
You be nice there, Merle. You be nice, because remember, I got control of the phone lines here.
He makes a point.
Yeah.
I did radio silence on purpose there, pretending like you hung up on me and stuff like that.
I know. Anyhow, Morgan, right before the break, we were talking about you using a real educational background, trying to figure out why you are experiencing, or why people are experiencing what they are with the paranormal. A lot of paranormal teams out there try to hide behind the word science in regards to everything. Yet you're going more on an educational platform. What is the difference?
Yeah, I think it's funny, because I think there's a couple of words that kind of drive me crazy with the paranormal world in general. The one word is what people consider to be science. I say that really loosely, but also so that's kind of twofold, because you've got what people hide behind in terms of science, but then you've got the actual science that goes on in proper laboratories like IONS and these, the University of Edinburgh and all these places. And then the other word that drives me absolutely bananas is the blanket word of energy. And both of them just send me for a loop, because most of the time the words get used and they have absolutely zero definition whatsoever. So for me, it's more about being able to look at the behaviors, look at the evidence of what's going on, and then begin to draw conclusions from it, instead of turning around and implementing a whole, belief system or anything like that in and around it. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, what you have is the phenomenon and the relationship to the people, and understanding that neither is separate. And once you can kind of get that going on, then you can start to break down exactly, what the heck is happening. So it's less about trying to use big fancy 75-cent words, which we could, but it's way easier to just turn around and be able to look at what we've got, sort of take the bias off of it, and begin to sort it out from that point.
I would agree.
Mike, what's your thoughts? Yeah?
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Our team, we do a lot of investigative interviewing of our clients, where we have certain questions and we watch. Well, I do the interviewing. I'm trained to do that stuff, so I will watch even for different behaviors when I'm asking questions. I'll ask the question same question 3 different times, and to see if it's continuity in what they're saying. I do believe our clients when they call. I do believe something's going on. I do believe they need help, but it's more or less trying to paint that beautiful picture before we send our team in to do what we do. I find a lot of times when you ask a lot of questions, it'll weed out people that are serious about their house being haunted, or to people that want just a night of Madame Cleo fun. And because an example of that would be probably 6 months ago, we did a house in the Lower in Langley, which is a city close to where I live. Anyhow, they said things were being thrown, their kids' behavior started to change. So we're like, oh, this one could be serious. And we asked them a lot of questions. And one thing we like to get our clients to do is, before we go there, we get them to write a journal. Basically, whatever they hear, whatever they see, you document the heck out of it. These people didn't do it. Then they kind of stalled about us doing our investigation there. But then when we finally were able to do our investigation there, they had all their friends, all their family there. They wanted us to perform for them.
Oh,
and
my God.
it wasn't, and we didn't find anything there. It was more or less, oh, let's have a Saturday night of the ghost hunters. And
yeah,
we try to weed those people out. And by asking hard-hitting questions or personal questions, you usually do weed people out like that.
Well, and you get these clients, too, and I'm sure you found the same thing, that their identity becomes very much wrapped up in the idea that they have this event going on around them. And that's the one thing that we've found where, you will get people that call us or whatnot for help, and they're so involved in their story about whatever it is, whether it be, the haunting or whether it be they're the victim or whatever it is, and they really do identify with it to the point where you begin to offer them, assistance, and it's at that point like they really don't want it. And we've had that more times than I can count.
Go into detail about that, Morgan, because I think that's important for people to understand.
Yeah, I think people really as a whole, we all have a way of being in the world, and we all tell a story about what's going on, with us, to us, around us, and what's happened to us. And I find that the people that really get stuck in this victim mentality, which is a lot of people, the idea of taking that from them and replacing it with empowerment. There's a lot of people that are really attached to the idea that they're powerless because it gives them an out. It gives them permission to sit on the sidelines of their life, and they want the assistance until it means, okay, I got to make a lifestyle change, or I've got to deal with the trauma I've been dealing with, or I've got to deal with whatever. And it takes courage to be able to step up and own it and sit in it and heal it. And so oftentimes you'll get these people that, they want help as long as it's not about them. And, when they're expecting you to come in and wave a magic wand and to have this fixed. And, that's just not, it just doesn't happen. So I think, you getting the people that come to you that are ready to do the work can be a real challenge. And I don't say that from the standpoint of somebody who's never done the work. I mean, I've had to work through a lot in my own life experience, not to get into too many details, but, I've lost quite a few people and I've had quite the journey over my years. And, I've had to really build from the ground up. So, I've got a pretty good bead on being able to work yourself out of that, that state of mind. But it is a decision, and not everybody is willing or ready to make the decision to move forward and own it.
I think they use the investigation sometimes as a distraction or another drama to ignore what's really going on. And we're personable to our clients that we investigate. We're friendly. We check in on them, but we won't get personal because we don't want to be part of the drama that's going on. Sometimes people are legit, but sometimes they just need the distraction, and sometimes that's when they call upon us.
Mm-hmm.
So when you guys are out investigating, and Morgan, we'll start with you on this one, and you are dealing with clients, it's so easy to fall into that science background, and as we talked about moments ago, you go more on an educational background. What are you looking for? What are you seeking when you go into a place that is said to be haunted, whether it's someone's home, whether it's a place of business, or even a rundown hospital like you have? Are you going with your intuition?
We're kind of going with everything. I mean, intuition is a thing that gets ignored a lot. And the human species is funny because humans are one of the only animals on the planet that ignore their bloody intuition. We are taught that it's silly and that it should be ignored, and we're the only ones that will talk ourselves into danger because we don't want to be rude. Or we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings or whatever. So I mean, you've got to go in aware of what you're doing and aware of the senses and be in tune with that. But we're looking to understand not only the family dynamic or the business dynamic that's going on. We're close attention to that. We're paying close attention to, witnesses and behaviors. And then, of course, looking at the environment with a fine-tooth comb. I mean, everything that we go in and look for initially is to document what's normal. Because if we don't know what's normal, we can't figure out what's paranormal. We can't see the changes. So, I mean, when we first go in, that we're looking for a whole bunch of different things.
That's intriguing. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, walk us through what you're looking for when you're starting out.
Yeah, so a lot of the time, what we'll are you saying in terms of environment or in terms of people?
Column A and column B.
Sure. So, yeah, when we walk into, say, for example, we're dealing with people, we always interview them outside of the home, because as soon as you get them in the home, they've already got a whole bunch of tapes going on about that. So what we'll do is we meet with the client outside of the home first, in a sort of low-stress environment, so they can actually start feeling comfortable, and also so that we can weed out exactly who the heck we're meeting with. But we start asking the hard questions. Say we always bring a registered nurse or somebody like that with us, or a social worker or something, and we start really weeding that down, figuring out whether or not it's something that is worth going in. And then once we're able to do that, we do the same thing. It's getting the clients to document everything. And getting them to start journaling too. We really push for the whole, start journaling out what's going on. How are you feeling when this stuff is happening? How are you feeling before it's happening? What's going on? So we try to establish that emotional pattern as well. And then when we go in when we're looking for, we work with a professional audio video company, where we bring in as many cameras as we can. We're looking for, like we just talked about, things like high electromagnetic fields, as many environmental things as we can rule out. We always have professional photographers with us. Go in, document just as much as we possibly can, looking for the telltale signs. I spent about 17 years of my career looking at the psychology of negative entities and how they relate to people and what seems to be the common denominators. So if we get a case like that, which is normally what we get called for, because usually people don't call us when they're having a good time, and we start to look for those behavior patterns, and that has helped us more often than not get the situation under control really quickly.
That sounds pretty heavy with what you were doing in regards to having to really exercise some sort of pattern in trying to figure out the clients and the situation. How many times in those patterns are you seeing where it's actual haunting comparatively to something maybe psychotic or something that is of mental illness or disease?
Yeah, and we do see that. The cases of hauntings, when you break it down, it's not a lot of the real genuine phenomenon. A lot of the time, we'll get cases where, like we've had clients where we found out that you'll ask them, are you on medication? Oh yeah, a couple of things, and they'll bring you the bottles, and the bottles they're on 5 antipsychotics or something like that, and they're doctor hopping or something like that. So you got to have the medical professional available, because half these medications, I don't know what the heck they do. I got to have somebody to reference, to be like, what is going on here? What are these interactions, and should this be happening? Do we have to send this person back to their doctor? And it's interesting because that you get this nasty dynamic of this mental illness sometimes going part and parcel with negative paranormal phenomenon, which can really start to suck, because you're stuck in this weird limbo of trying to differentiate what is the delusion and what's the phenomenon going on. So oftentimes it's at that point you got to send the person back to their doctor and get their mental state under control before you can even begin to touch it, because you don't want to perpetuate a delusion or something like that.
I would agree. Do you find a lot of times more negative entities or spirits do prey on those that are weaker mentally?
Yeah, they seem to have this, we kind of look at emotion almost like a radio dial, and we find that the people that are really sort of stuck in that, in those issues, they tend to have some problems with it. And we've found a really interesting dynamic with negative entities and the characteristics of dominance with them. So when you've got somebody who is, not really up to par, in whatever way, there tends to be this conflict that goes on, this sort of power battle back and forth. And it's really tough when you've got somebody that, is struggling with something like schizophrenia, or something like that, where it's really hard for them, at the best of times, they're fighting side effects from medication, and they're fighting their doctors telling them they're oh, that's all in your head, this is a delusion, this is, whatever. And, when the rest of the family is going, no, there's more to this. Yes, they do have this mental illness, but, there's more going on. So it's a tough battle. And there was a article written a while back, and it's quite good, by Dr. Barry Taff about psychosis and paranormal phenomenon. That's really interesting. And unfortunately, this field that we're in can attract that, because it will support people in that delusional thinking. They'll come into a group and say, I've seen, some entity that's following me around trying to electrocute me. And, with somebody that doesn't know what that is, they're going to go, oh, you've got a haunting. And it's like, it's tough.
Morgan, I'm going to get you to hold on. Mike, you hold on as well, as we are going to go to a break here at the top of the hour on Spaced Out Radio. Goes to the Great White North with Mike Morin. Happens the third Wednesday of every month. Tonight we are joined by Morgan Knudsen, Edmonton paranormal investigator from Edmonton, Alberta. We're going to get into her stories right after this.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Morin. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Brian Price joins us from the Discovery Channel special, Into the Blue Hole of the Belize. Of Belize, that is. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Remember, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Xylopyrography. Xylopyrography is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. What does it mean? Nobody really knows what it means. Damn it, Bill. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, soon shop at our brand new store, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and so much more. Ghost of the Great White North happens the third Wednesday of every month as we are joined by Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada. And tonight we are joined by special guest Morgan Knudsen out of Edmonton, Alberta. And she is a paranormal investigator. You may recognize her for being on the television series called Haunted Hospitals. Morgan, Mike, welcome back.
Hooray!
Yes.
I want to get to some questions here from the audience because they are starting to build up here. And awesome. Morgan, we'll start with you on this one. This is from Robin in Washington State. He is asking, when you are there to get evidence in someone's house, do you want the people to be there or not?
Depends on the situation. There's sometimes where you're able to have them there simply because you really need to be able to see the dynamic that the people have going at the house with the activity that's going on. I mean, you really need to be able to see it. But at the same time, that there's a point at which you kind of got to boot them out and to be able to assess what's going on your own. So it's very case specific, and you kind of need both sides of the story. So you sort of have to take it case by case and see where it leads you. It becomes pretty obvious pretty quickly.
All right, this is a question for both of you from Joe, and we will get to Mike next. Morgan, we'll stick with you because you got a prettier voice than Merle. No offense, Merle.
Aww.
Yeah. Well,
sorry, Merle.
Oh, there you go. And Joe is asking, have you ever been too scared at an investigation to actually finish it?
It's never happened, mainly because, number one, before we go into any sort of case, it's just ridiculously important to be able to be in the right headspace. We have to be able to go in clear-minded. We have to be able to go in stable within ourselves. Somebody asked me a number of years ago, what is the number one piece of advice that you'd give investigators? And I really stick with it when I say know thyself. You have to be grounded. You have to be centered. You have to know what your limits are. And you have to be able to go in and keep a poker face, because you've got these people who are so, a lot of them are at their wit's end with whatever's going on, and you can't be going around and running and screaming and freaking out. They're relying on you for answers. They're relying on you for leadership. And, there's times where things go on. And I mean, even if, you're kind of feeling the fear response, you've got to be able to master yourself and master the way that you come into the space. It's going to make or break whether or not, the phenomenon will respect you. In the case of things like negative entities, I mean, they don't care whether you're, paying the bills or, that you drove 2 hours to get there or whatever. They read you based on how the presence that you're bringing into the room. And, unless we understand that and we can, keep a solid stance about us, then, I mean, we become ineffective, both to help other people and to, to analyze what the heck we're experiencing ourselves.
Mike, what's your thoughts on that?
I would agree. You need to be on your A game all the time doing investigations. You cannot be weak. If you are dealing with spirits, they tend to bug the weak or try and to alter the weaker mindset, in my experiences. A lot of things what our team does is investigation night. We'll go for dinner as a team, like a team dinner together. We'll talk about the investigation. We'll check in on how everyone's doing, how everyone's week was. We'll get to the investigation. We'll talk to the client a bit, and then we set our stuff up. And then we'll have about a 15-minute break before we actually investigate, just checking in on each other, people's vibes, how they're feeling, and what course of action we're going to take for our investigation. But what you guys were talking about before that question as well, I'm going to chime in with that. We like to investigate with no client there, but sometimes have the client come in at the end to take part in the investigation, especially during EVP sessions, because sometimes the spirit will want to talk to them or they'll want to talk to us, or sometimes they'll act almost like a trigger object to get a reaction of evidence on what we're looking for. But yeah, you need to be in the right mindset every investigation. It's okay to postpone an investigation if you're arriving angry because you had a bad day at work or a fight with someone. Because you go into investigation angry, the spirits are gonna that's a battery for them to cause a ruckus. And we've seen it before. You saw it at 108 Mile, Dave, with my old team. And I've seen it in other locations with other different teams. Well, it takes one bad apple to make the investigation go south.
So true.
Morgan, I want to get into haunted hospitals for a little bit here, because this is such an intriguing topic when it really blends the medical community and the experiences of doctors and nurses with the paranormal. Now, professionally speaking, a lot of doctors do not want to talk about this subject because they don't want to put their professional career on the line. But this has to be one of the most fun assignments you've ever had in the paranormal.
Well, it's phenomenal because, the show is structured so that, these people get to tell their stories. And it's in support of, nurses and EMS and all of these, hospice workers and all of these people coming forward and telling their stories. And it's so cool to be able to, I get handed these case files from all over the U.S. and Canada. And the show will eventually be airing in the U.S. Right now it's just in Canada and the U.K. But it's super cool to be able to, weigh in. I co-host with a fellow by the name of Richard Estep, and the two of us, we get to weigh in on this stuff, and we get the transcripts of all the interviews, and you get the geology and the makeup of the buildings and the land and all this stuff, and it's fascinating to see these amazingly brave individuals being willing to not only step up and tell their story, but step up on camera and be able to say, look, I'm still a nurse. This wasn't something that happened before I retired. I'm still a nurse, and yes, this happened. Yes, this stuff happens. And, it's amazing what a taboo subject it is still within the medical community, even though there are some people in the medical community, like, for example, Dr. Morris Friedman, who's one of the chief neuroscientists in Toronto, doing this research. But it's still this sort of, ugly word that, I don't want to be looked at like I'm crazy.
When you are going through these hospitals, are you going through hospitals that are currently active, or are they all decommissioned?
Well, it's not really about the hospital. It's about the individuals and their cases. So basically how it's structured is they get to basically tell their story, and then I kind of weigh in on it. All of these hospitals, like, we can't give out the names of them or anything because they're all still functioning. They're fully running places. It's pretty neat.
Mike, what's your thoughts in regards to the medical community and the paranormal?
I think it's really, I bet you to hear the stories doctors or people in the morgues or even ambulance drivers see or hear, would be amazing to hear. I would really like to investigate hospitals, especially like the morgue area or even the emergency room, because there's a lot of trauma, a lot of energy that goes through there. It's funny we're talking about this tonight, because I was literally talking to some EMS and some cops today about their experiences when we were all eating lunch together, and they experience a lot. You could write a book on encounters with, like, paranormal encounters with cops, EMS, doctors, hospitals, and it's extreme. Some of them don't even like to talk about it.
Yeah, and what's interesting too, what I find with we've got a show coming up here in the spring that we've done as well called Paranormal 911, and that'll be airing, I'm guessing, in the next few months here. But working on that one has been really interesting as well, because it's exactly like you said. These first responders, when they're coming into these situations, I mean, they don't have an agenda. You know, they're not even working at this one specific location, like, to build up a story about what might go on there. All they know is that they're walking into this space, they're there to treat somebody who's ill, and that's it. And what we found working on Paranormal 911 is the fact that the stories are absolutely unbelievably inspiring. You know, they are exactly what you want as a connection with non-physical, and it's some of the stories are absolutely beautiful.
Tell us some.
Yeah, like, I mean, we had we've had a couple where you know, say for example, like EMS or whatnot will show up, and we had one case where there was the husband was downstairs. Yeah, my wife, you know, she had a heart attack. You know, can you please go treat her? You know, the EMS is like, yeah, no problem. You know, can you stay down here? Firemen are on their way, because of course they all come at the same time. And up the stairs they go. They go up to the wife. The wife's sitting there, who's, you know, obviously not well. She's white as a ghost, excuse the pun. But she's sitting there, and, you know, I know it's bad. The jokes don't get better; they just are more of them. But they sit there, and, you know, they're talking with her. The firefighters show up. Husband comes out, talks to the firefighters. You know, EMS is already here. They're upstairs. You know, they go in and they're talking to the wife. And they're like, you know, don't worry, your husband Martin, we talked to him. He's downstairs. Everything's good. We got to get you, you know, on the gurney, get you into the ambulance. And she looks at them like, are you kidding me? And long story short, I mean, the husband died, you know, 2 days ago. But here you've got 4 first responders that have just seen this guy. You know, and I mean, they don't have a dog in the fight here. It's like it either happened or it did not happen. And you've got 4 reliable witnesses that are just coming to treat this patient. You know, it's incredible. You know, or then you get the calls where they're, you know, the loved one who's, you know, passed away has called dispatch, and the dispatcher has been on the phone with them for 10 minutes. You know, and it's like this kind of thing where, I mean, if you had doubts that you're by yourself before, oh my God, you're not. You know, we're really, really not. It's phenomenal.
No, and I can tell you a quick story at work. Unfortunately, I see a lot of dead people where I work.
Yep.
And there was one call I went on, and it was a deceased guy, and we had to remove some of the animals that were there, and he's been there for a while. And we had an investigation, coincidentally, at the end of that day. And long story short is I'm hanging out in this house with a deceased person and waiting for a coroner to come. The police are there with me, and
sure.
And we're in the room with a guy. And that night, I show up to my investigation. The psychic medium on our team, he goes, "You're flustered." I'm like, "I'm not flustered. I'm very stubborn, strong-headed. Dave knows that." And
well, you are Merle.
And he's like, "You shouldn't be investigating tonight, but here, calling the kettle black now." I'm like, "Too bad. I'm going to investigate tonight. I'm good." And he's like, "You're not good. You were followed home by something today." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, did you come into contact with anything dead over the last couple of days? I'm like, "Well, actually, I have a story for you." And I told him the story that I was at this house on a file, And he's like, well, that person's with you, and he could sense your energy, and he followed you, and he's staying with you. So basically, my guy took me outside, and he had to release that spirit from me before we could do our investigation. Normally, we would maybe postpone an investigation, but we were all there that night. And yeah, it's crazy the things you see in with first responders, or the things we see.
Now, I think the big thing too is, people really have this idea that this stuff is just dark and horrifying, and that's the one thing I've been really pushing, especially even with the shows and whatnot, to sort of break that stigma, because the relationship that we can have with non-physical, it can be one of the best things in our life, and it can be some of the most brilliant relationships that we can have, and I think that really needs to be driven home to to listeners tonight, and all the people that end up watching the shows and whatnot, is that this stuff is not, it doesn't have to be this terrifying stuff. And I get the fact that terrifying stuff, it sells shows and whatever, but at the end of the day, this is stuff that you want in your life in the right way.
Oh, I agree with you. In your discussions with these professionals, these medical professionals who are trying to figure out this paranormal phenomena because in their scientific minds it shouldn't exist, what type of emotional or personal reactions are you getting from them, Morgan?
A lot of them are extremely relieved to be telling their story. They're emotionally very moved by the things that have happened to them. We've had a number of people that, have just broken down during interviews. They're so touched by the things that they've experienced, and I think relieved to be talking about it in a way where their stories are being honored rather than criticized. So I think it's a relief. We do I have sort of a classroom called the Fireside Ghost Experience here in Edmonton, and we hold class in a limo bus, and we go to these different locations and stuff. And oftentimes there we end up getting a lot of people from the local hospitals, nurses and doctors, and there's quite a large facility called Alberta Hospital up near Fort Saskatchewan here, and get a lot of nurses and doctors from that. It's more of a psychiatric hospital. And they come just to sit down and be able to be in an environment where they can tell their story. So I think there's a lot of relief and a lot of actively looking and seeking, that ear.
What are a couple of stories you could tell us that they've experienced that stand out for you?
Oh man, probably one of the most unique ones for me, especially during this season of Haunted Hospitals, I think. We interviewed a lady who reported something that the first time I heard it, I thought, is this kind of like urban legendy, kind of hokey thing? And it changed my mind about it. And what had happened with her, and you can see it in the first episode of the first season, she ended up in this situation where her aunt was on the verge of passing away. She was at the hospital, and this lady was she was a nurse. I think she was an RN, and so she goes and just to step in with her aunt, and she's sitting there, and there's this black shape that starts forming over top of her aunt. Now, when somebody's is getting close to passing away, they do this almost like chain stoking cough, and it can end up being really, really violent. And what she was seeing, what this lady was seeing, was this like hooded type black figure that kept putting its hands over top of her aunt's face. And every time it did this, she would quit coughing. The coughing would ease up. And she watched this. She was terrified. She watched this for quite a while. But whatever it was doing, it seemed to be easing this woman's horrific cough. And she ended up encountering this thing a couple of times during her career. And at first I thought, it's the typical, Grim Reaper hooded figure thing. And I'm like, I don't know, But when I started to do some research into it, it turns out that this specific phenomenon is not strictly a Western phenomenon. This is something that's actually reported all over the place, and it's reported in hospitals and whatnot frequently, to the point where there's a couple of different religions that have actually picked up on this phenomenon and given it a name. The Abrahamic religions call it Azrael, and Azrael is said to not only care for the people that are passing over, but also care for the families afterwards. And it's a really cool phenomenon. And as much as it scares people when they see it, it seems to be something that's very peaceful and very positive. So that case, that changed my mind about that phenomenon, because when I first heard it, I thought, I don't know, like, it seems very, very Hollywood, right? But there seems to be a core phenomenon that's sort of spurring on this legend of the Grim Reaper, and I thought it was the other way around, but it's kind of neat.
Oh, I got a couple of stories for you. We'll tell them off air, but it is very real. Very, very real.
Totally.
Yeah. I'll give you one.
Sure.
A few months after I started having my own experiences, because we only got about 2 minutes left before break. As soon as I started having my own experiences, a few months later, we were called to Mrs. SOR's grandmother's deathbed, basically. We were called to the hospice where she was at and saying it was just a matter of time now. And I walked into the room, and immediately I felt that the angel of death was in the room. And I was kind of taunting it, kind of going, come on, I know you're here. I could feel your energy. I could feel it. And he'd be moving from one corner to the other, to behind her, to beside us. It was just everywhere. And I was like, in my head, I'm like trying to, I'm like whole 6 months into this. I'm like, oh yeah, I got this covered. Come on, man. I know you're in here. Show me where you are. And literally about a couple hours later, about 9 minutes, before she breathed her final breath, I was standing right at the foot of the bed, like Grandma's feet are like 6 inches away from me. And I have Mrs. SOR right on my right hand, my arms around her, and she's crying, and I'm staring down at Grandmother because I didn't really know the lady. I came in late to the situation. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I watched her spirit come right out of her body. And it was shaped like a football, except it was like all swirly and intertwined, like a white little cloud, shaped as like a football that isn't quite full of air, a Tom Brady type football. And anyways, it sat there for a couple of seconds, and I'm staring at this, and it was kind of like the angel of death was saying to me, is this what you want? Is this what you want to see? Is this what it's all about? And then, boom, his energy left, the spirit left at the exact same time. I watched that soul shoot from Grandma's body after he hung it there, straight up through the ceiling. Boom, everything gone. Everything was different. It was the most intriguing, or one of the most intriguing things that I've ever seen. On that note, we are going to go to break. Morgan Knudsen, Mike Morin, goes to the Great White North. More of it coming up right after this break.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, we are past the halfway point of tonight's show. Good to have you with us. I am Dave Scott, your host in the captain's chair. Ghosts of the Great White North happens the third Wednesday of every month. Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada, and our special guest tonight, Morgan Knudsen, paranormal investigator out of Edmonton, Alberta, who is also a star of the television show Haunted Hospitals. Welcome back.
Hello.
Hello, Dave.
Hello, Merle.
Oh, he's back again.
Merle is very
Batman.
sneaky that way. I want to get to some audience questions here, guys, and we're going to start with you, Morgan, on this one because you're the star of the show tonight. This is from Sharon in Arkansas, or Arkansas. I don't know how that's quite pronounced. But anyways, Sharon is asking, do you ground yourself before an investigation, and do you say a prayer or burn sage before going in?
For me, my feel-good place is usually through meditation, or sometimes what I'll do, it's really whatever I can do to get myself in the best state of mind I can. So, meditation's great for that. Sometimes sitting there and writing what we call a rampage of appreciation. So what we'll do is, we'll pull out a piece of paper or something like that and start writing something about something that we just don't have any resistance about that makes us really happy. Like, writing a paragraph on your pet, or something that you're really passionate about, or just doing the thing that you're passionate about before you go. Really, it's just all about getting into that really high-flying state of mind before you're going in there, and making sure you're leaving your baggage at the door. It's like Mike was saying earlier. It's like if you've got, if you've had a bad day, or you got to be able to decompress before you go. So whatever that is for you. And some people it's, burning sage. Some people there's not a right way to do it. It's just whatever works for you.
And Mike, I know you've explained that a couple of times on the show, so I'm just going to bypass you on that one. And let's get to another one from Sharon in Arkansas. And I know, Mike, you have Derek White Skycloud, who's an amazing, phenomenal psychic medium who works for your team. But with your team that you have, Morgan, do you believe in having a psychic medium on the team, and what is their role?
Yeah, we have a fellow who's extremely intuitive, and actually contributed to my book as well. He's been a real long-time friend of mine, and he's incredible. What's really neat about the way he works is that he sees everything in like in pictures almost, and the pictures are very symbolic. So he's got a very unique way of working. And, sometimes he'll come out with an image or series of images, and they don't make any sense to him at all. And then, once we get into the investigation, it becomes really obvious what it is. But so he's very, very important to what we do. He's another tool in the toolbox for us. So we are able to back up, what he's saying with, the other things that we're doing. But without him, there's leads that we just wouldn't follow because we just wouldn't know about them. So, he's important. And if Matt's listening, hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Matt. Hello, Matthew. All right, let's move on to your investigation styles and some of the stories that you have had. Before you got involved with haunted hospitals, obviously you were somebody who was, going around trying to do the proper parts of investigation. Do you prefer going into residential and helping people in their homes, or do you prefer workplaces or places that maybe are just generally not investigated? Could be old rundown buildings, cemeteries in the middle of the forest, whatever it may be. What's your favorite, Morgan?
Oh, it's got to be helping the people. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. I really firmly believe that in order to be successful or anything like that, in anything that you do, you have to have this attitude of being of service, and that's really what it is. So whether we're getting called to a bar or a museum or a family home or whatever it is, it really comes down to just being how can we be of service? And, so I don't know necessarily if I have a favorite per se, but it's always, I think my favorites are the people that really are willing to do the work and want to put the effort in, that, we'll see a massive change. We have one girl that we worked with quite a number of years ago now, that she took what we were saying so seriously that she, left a very abusive relationship. She decided if I'm going to change my life, I'm going to follow my dreams. And she packed up. She ended up moving to the UK, just followed her heart. Now she's doing what she loves. She's with an amazing husband. And she just is just an unbelievable success story. And so, I mean, those people are always my favorite people.
So when you were dealing with children, how does your game plan change?
Children it's interesting. Actually, I was having a conversation this afternoon about this, because watching parents and kids deal with this can probably be one of the most frustrating things to work with, because oftentimes the parents' reaction to what their kids are experiencing is so unbelievably atrocious and neglectful that it blows people's minds when they hear about it. And they either, they don't believe their kids, or, they're okay with their kid experiencing it as long as they don't have to look at it. It's such a tricky situation, because the parental reactions are often so bad and so inappropriate that you kind of got to deal with that. But ultimately, it's putting that child at ease. You've got to secure the children first, regardless of what's going on. And they're always the number one priority, especially if, they're getting injured or there's something like that going on. It's always something that we've got to be really careful of. One of the things that we've implemented over the years, it's kind of funny, but it helps work them into that more empowered place, is giving the kids a ritual to do. Because rituals throughout human history they're very empowering. And giving the kids something like, a series of bells they have to ring before they get into bed, and then giving them, monster spray of lavender and water or something like that. Obviously stuff that isn't, obviously scientifically going to work, right? But it doesn't matter, because it's getting them into that right frame of mind. And that's really it. But you got to secure the kids first.
A lot of paranormal investigators that we have talked to on this show hate dealing with kids in their situations of the paranormal. It's just uncomfortable for them, because dealing with children in any type of traumatic circumstance is always difficult. Always difficult.
Sure.
But when it comes to the paranormal, especially with parents, as you said, it becomes a little frustrating because the parents don't know how to help. Do you have a case that really resonates with you or sticks in your mind involving children that just kind of set you back and we're like, I got to help. And no matter how long it takes, I got to help?
Yeah, actually, we had one just in a little city just outside of Edmonton here it was probably one of the most frustrating cases that we've ever dealt with. We had parents with this young boy who was probably about 5 years old, I guess, at the time, and maybe 4. And they ran a daycare actually in their basement, and they ended up with some sort of negative intelligence there. and they had to close the daycare down because it wasn't safe. But their son's room was still in this finished basement area, and the son was terrified of this thing. For whatever reason, it had an affinity for the bedroom, and it wasn't good, and they were having activity going on all over the house, but specifically into this room. And every time the kid went to bed, this entity was very extremely territorial over the space, just saw this other energy coming into the room, and it was really unhappy about it. But the damn problem was that the husband was absolutely enthralled by the fact that they had something, cool going on in their house, and would go and, poke the bear down there, trying to play, I don't know, ghost hunter or whatever the hell he was doing. And of course, everything would get riled up, and then the son would be put into bed at night and then get the brunt of it. So when we got to the house, we sat down with the parents. We explained, you can't be doing this. Like, this is really dangerous. This can escalate. You don't want to be doing this. Here's what we want you to do in place of that, and whatever. And we left. And then about a week or so later, everything seemed to be going okay. And then a week or so later, I get this call from the husband. He's like, nothing you've said has worked, and this is stupid, and we need you to come back. And as soon as I hear that, I just think to myself, okay, well, you've done nothing. That's good to know. So we get back there, and we're sitting talking to this guy, and this guy's all, mad and whatever. But the wife is sitting beside him with her arms crossed, and she looks like she's about ready to pop him in the mouth. And we're looking at her and watching him, and she looks at her husband, and she goes, "You want to tell them what you've been doing?" And he just goes red as all get out and looks at her, and she's like, "You tell them, you be bloody honest." And long story short, it turned out that what was going on was that he was continuing to do what he was doing. The son could no longer sleep in the room at all, and everything had just gone right through the roof. And and we told the guy up front. We said, "Look, your son is he's getting his butt kicked, and he's 4 or whatever. What are you doing? Like, where is the parental instinct that's going to kick in, that's going to say, I got to protect my son?" It never happened. Long story short, he refused to change what he was doing, and the wife took the kid, packed up, and left. And we got a message probably a good month or so later, and the guy couldn't figure out why she left and what happened, why his family fell apart. But it was just infuriating, because you think that parental instinct is going to be there, and oftentimes it's not.
Mike?
What's your take? Yeah, what's your take on why do you think spirits or negative spirits target or stay with kids?
It's funny, because I think first of all, kids are they're so bloody receptive to this stuff. And when you've got a child, specifically the ones that end up involved with the negative entities, tend to be under stress of some sort, whether it be a divorce or something's going on. So I think you've got sort of a two-pronged problem, where you've got the parents who, or the kid who is extremely receptive to what's going on, just because of the brain waves that they have at that age. And then on top of it, if you've got a kid that's been experiencing trauma or something like that, then, you've got that receptive point of something that's going to, be attracted in, that's sort of hanging out in that negative spectrum. Because just on the flip side of that, if you got these kids that are doing really, really well and thriving, and then you've got, that's when you get the really cool stories where they're, seeing a grandma that passed away, or they're having these really fun, friendly interactions with, an old family member or whatever. So I think it's kind of that twofold issue. But I mean, kids that have been through stress and trauma, there's no question there's a connection there.
So getting back to that story where the father was really antagonizing that spirit because he was having fun. He wanted the story to tell everybody, "Oh, I live in a haunted house. Dude, you got to see what's happening here. This is just freaky. Oh, I tried this. I brought in a Ouija board," or whatever it may be. Did he have any inclination that it was tied to the paranormal activity that was affecting his son? Did he know, or was he not able to put 2 and 2 together?
Oh, he knew. I think a lot of people that get involved in this stuff, they they're fascinated by it, and they kind of end up with this "it can't happen to me" kind of attitude. Oh, that's not going to happen. Oh, that's an exaggeration. Oh, that's this whatever. But why that parental instinct doesn't kick in is baffling to me. And it's not the only case we've had like that. And some of them were able to clue these people in and say, you guys need to stop and like clue in that your kid is getting battered. But they're just there's a lot of the time you get these parents that are just, I don't know what it is. I don't know whether they think they're invincible and maybe this stuff isn't really happening, or I don't know what story they're telling themselves, but they don't seem to want to take it as seriously as they need to. Lack of empathy, I think, is a chunk of it.
And yet this guy couldn't figure out how he lost his family over this. I mean, I would be irate if somebody I knew was doing that. I would be absolutely irate. But, I mean, it goes to show, though, and this is a prime example of what we've tried to teach on this program, and Mike, I'm sure you'll concur with this. I mean, a lot of this has to be about education and the lack thereof, because the only thing those paranormal television shows have talked about in regards to situations like this, and I'm sure you'll agree as you are with one, it is the fact that they make it seem fun and entertaining and well worth the scare tactics. I mean, this guy was just unbelievable to put his kid in harm's way for his own satisfaction. Yeah, and I think the shows go. Unfortunately, a lot of them, they go a long way to dealing with that, and it sucks because the reality of what can happen in some of these cases gets almost washed over, and they almost get this idea that the phenomenon is happening around them rather than to them, and I mean the idea that this can cause trauma and terrible experiences for it's funny, the fellow I was mentioning earlier, Matt, he grew up with a horrific phenomenon that was going on around him. And I mean, he looks back now and often says to me, I lost my childhood because of this. Like, nobody knew what to do. Of course, he grew up in the 70s or whichever. So, I mean, there wasn't anything out there ever, especially going out and, calling somebody for help. I mean, forget it. But they, he often looks back and says, I did not have a good childhood because of this. People don't realize, like, this stuff is traumatic. It's scary for adults half the time. So did this guy finally clue in after he lost his family?
I was pretty blunt with him about it. I mean, it's like you've got to have some empathy to what these people are going through. And he was just he just couldn't get his head around the idea that what he was doing was creating as much grief with his wife and the kid as what it was. And I think she did the right thing. I mean, she didn't feel like she had any other option. Of course, your main goal is to protect your child, and you just, whether it be somebody that's into drugs, or whether it be somebody who's bringing bad people into the house, or whatever it is, as a parent you got to make that choice. And I think he just couldn't empathize with what was going on. And I mean, that's a problem. That's on a whole nother level.
Have you done any follow-up with that child just to see how the child is doing now?
We don't know where they went. We don't know where the wife and child went. They literally moved. They just took off. Like, she packed her bag, packed the kid, and left. So, I mean, hopefully they're doing really well.
Mike, have you had any cases like that?
I've had cases with kids, where the parents kind of ham it up a bit, but they also egg on the spirit, and they make it centered around their kid, when really it's not centered around their kid. It's usually centered around the couple, which will put it on to the kid. One that we did a couple of months back, they would say that the spirit would live in the child's room with him. The child would have complete conversations with the spirit. We even granted them to be with us during our investigation, including with the kid. The kid was well behaved. We normally wouldn't do that, but we just wanted to see, is this happening or isn't it happening?
Sure.
But the spirit didn't. The spirit ended up, as per our medium, protecting the kid from the parents fighting, and would be that buffer. Yeah. And it was interpreted as something evil and bad attacking the house. But there was bad stuff happening downstairs, like with the downstairs tenant, and then the other family, or the family members were fighting a lot around the kid. So I think it was interpreted as bad spirits, but really it wasn't. Our medium said that it was like a grandparent looking after and keeping tabs on the kid and kind of distracting the kid from all what was happening.
Yeah, and I think that's what people don't, they don't observe oftentimes, is that, a lot of these entities, they end up filling a role, and they, if you've got, a child like who's, a daddyless daughter, or you've got a son who's a, fatherless son, or whatever the situation might be, there's a hole in that kid's soul that is, I heard the term from Jan Van Zandt, they have a hole in their soul, the shape of whoever that is. And it's, that's a real thing. And I think, oftentimes, you'll get these amazing cases, and thankfully, most of them are really, really good, where you've got some sort of non-physical entity that will step in and do things exactly like, what you just described, Mike, which is, we got to care for this person, and then unfortunately you get, the other side of things where, you'll get something that's more on the negative end. But, all of that, like they will step in and fill that space, and it's quite something. But, if you're a parent that's not plugged in, you got to be aware. And in the same way that you got to be aware that, say, for example, you're not plugged into your kids, and then next thing you know, you've got, the creepy guy down the street who's paying attention to the kid, right? Like, it's just, you got to be plugged in as a parent, listen to what they're saying, and, take your kids seriously.
And on that note, Mike and Morgan, you guys hold on, as we are going to go to break here on the mighty SOR. 2 hours down, 1 hour to go on Spaced Out Radio's Ghosts of the Great White North. We'll be back with more right after this. At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Morin. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy in your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long.
Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Glad you're with us. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being here. Tomorrow night on the program, Brian Price is here. He led Aquatica submarines into the deep blue hole of Belize. We're going to get into that tomorrow night, 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Remember, all of our archives are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Xylopyrography. Xylopyrography is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, soon shop at our brand new store. We're developing product as we speak. And, of course, read up on all the news on Captain Shirk's SOR News Wire. For the final time tonight, the final time of 2018, we bring you Ghosts of the Great White North with Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada, and our special guest tonight, Morgan Knudsen, paranormal investigator out of Edmonton, Alberta, from the television series Haunted Hospitals. Morgan, welcome back. Same to you, Merle.
We're back again. Jeez, you're not going to be able to get rid of us. You realize that.
Well, you know what? Merle is like my paranormal fungus. He just keeps arriving, keeps hanging out. But I love the guy.
Perfection.
Paranormal infection. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
The antibiotics won't kill. Yeah.
Right before the break, we were talking about, children involved in cases with children, because it's always unpleasant when children are attacked. But you also mentioned the naivety of everything and of a lot of people in this. Have you had a lot of people just wanting to come on in and have you investigate when really there is no investigation? They just want the attention to say that they had a ghost team over to their business or to their own home.
Well, here it's funny. I don't know if Mike's had a different experience in BC, but in Alberta it's interesting because people are so afraid of being seen with it that oftentimes, it's everything that they can do to not have you in. They call or they ask and be like, look, we can't give you a solid opinion unless we can obviously, go and be there. But as soon as any sort of idea of investigation comes up, it's like, oh, no, we can't have that, or we can't be seen with that, or whatever. So in that regard, it's kind of funny. There's a real stigma to it. A lot of the businesses really fear the idea that if they're known as something that's haunted, then they're going to lose business or something like that. There was a bed and breakfast here for the longest time, and it's been torn down now, that was, reputed to be haunted for decades. And, the staff was just absolutely forbidden to talk about it. It's like, you don't talk about it. If something happens to you, you just keep your mouth shut. And, everybody had the vibe that, there was something going on. If you knew the staff well enough, they would tell you straight up. But they were told, like, you don't discuss this. So, you get that end of it. But you also get those are the people that get really stuck, like we were talking about before, in their story about this. I know I had a case a number of years ago now where it was a a mother and her son and husband. And the story that she put forward was, this happened in my family, and it's I'm unique basically because I have this stuff happen to me. And at the end of the day, I mean, that's what she wanted. And there was no haunting. There was no phenomenon going on in the house. But when we asked her, we're like, look, you need to make a decision whether or not you want to change this. And she point blank told us she didn't. She was just like, no, I don't. I'm like, okay, then we're done talking. It was really weird. But, she really identified with this idea that it was, something that was making her special in some way. And she just didn't want to let that go. So, it happened.
I've got a question for you. It's kind of when I bounced off you when we were on our break there. Clients who are deceptive that try to intentionally trip up, do you ever come across that?
It's funny. We don't get a lot of, intentional fraud. But where I find clients run into trouble is their own self-sabotage in getting things dealt with, where they're given an opportunity, they're given the tools to follow through, and they just absolutely fail to follow through. And I mean, the only one at the end of the day that they're hurting or harming or, sabotaging is themselves. But yeah, and usually the self-sabotage you can kind of spot throughout their life experience. You don't get to the point there most of them are at without, actively sabotaging yourself in some way or another. But we find more that, like, one of our prior investigators, he was from Scotland, and he noticed that in the UK frequently, where he would go into a place and there was blatant fraud. Whether it be for, they wanted the team to come in and investigate and say there was, something going on in order for them to get business. Where with here in Alberta, it seems to be it's the total opposite. It's like, oh my God, please come and debunk this, which is strange to me.
What's the difference between sabotaging, Mike, and, say, some sort of psychological problem that somebody may have?
Usually the ones that are very anti-paranormal, the ones that think that what we do is horse poop. I've experienced it twice off the top of my head, where people say that basically Satan's running amok in their house, windows are breaking, all of that sort of stuff, and we go in and they're half mocking us and trying to trip us up. Where we'll be like the one I can think of off the top of my head, we were champs. We did the investigation and we didn't find anything, and we're like, hey bro, there's nothing in your house, and that was that. But yeah, it's happened. Yeah. But you can smell it when you get there, basically.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that was that? I mean, I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit, but. Did he know that he was faking it? Did he bring you in to try and debunk you guys for what you do? What does that mean?
Yeah. That means that they tried to trip us up to see if we were real. They didn't believe in it, and they just wanted to see what would happen if they brought a team in. It was more for a thrill seeking, like a thrill seeking night and entertainment purposes.
Interesting. I'm surprised by that. Maybe I'm a little naive, but I'm actually quite surprised by that. Have you had that happen, Morgan?
No, I haven't. But I think I'd say maybe I think it could be just the difference between the mentality of Alberta versus BC and so on and so forth. But Alberta's funny because it's a very closed. We don't really discuss this, and yet every time I do a class or something like that, I mean, the damn thing's sold out every time. But it's like, but when it comes down to identifying with it on a personal level, like my business or my house or my family, it becomes a different subject for people. They want to learn, they want to understand, but they see it quite differently. So I've had groups come out of the woodwork and try to screw you up. Like there was a group in Alberta, and I don't even know who they were for a while, but they would, they'd write to different people for help and then send them fake addresses and stuff like that. And it's like, obviously you Google it before you leave the house, and you quickly realize that it's, they're full of it. But there was this sort of ridiculous, I don't know, petty, whatever it was. I don't know, but I like to think now I'm kind of, I don't get any of that anymore. That was a number of years ago, thankfully, but I don't know. It's weird.
Really? Is it that trying to make that competitive of a paranormal market?
I don't know what it is. I think you get a lot of people, as I say, that get into this field that, I mean, ultimately I don't think they're very mentally well. And I don't even mean that as a joke. I mean that, like, there's a lot of them, I think there's something wrong. And, they get into this really strange, almost, competitive thing. And I don't know what they're trying to do, because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but yeah, there's a nasty undertone to some of this field, which is why I for the most part, I don't associate with the groups at all. As I was mentioning, before when we were talking, I mean, most of my colleagues are, university professors and, research scientists and this kind of thing, because I find that's where the work gets done. It's really hard to find people that are, investigating on a level, like you, Mike, or something like that, that are, on the ball and doing it for the right reasons. This field attracts some weird stuff.
I find that totally compelling to hear those stories. I mean, Mike, that's something that you and I, out of all the times we've talked, we've never really discussed. And yet, hearing that is going on, or teams are trying to sabotage other teams, I guess I expected it to happen, but thought better of it. You know what I'm saying about the community? Because in the end, that's who it reflects. It doesn't reflect the client. It reflects the entire paranormal community, Morgan.
Big time. And, because I don't do a whole lot of investigations specifically anymore. I'm mainly into the teaching field and stuff like that now, or do classes with the Aboriginal social work programs here and psychology programs, and I do speaking engagements at museums and different events centers, and I've got a cool program called Creating the Paranormal, which allows you to go into these different museums and stuff like that to experience not only the historical venue, but what the phenomenon that oftentimes is going on within it. And I've been able to I enjoy the teaching aspect of it almost more than I do dealing with the other stuff, because there's, at least with the teaching stuff, you get, it's a little bit more rewarding, and you're not dealing with the level of crazy pettiness that seems to come with putting yourself out there as a investigative team or whatever. But there's this really sort of gross underbelly to paranormal research, and it gets really ugly. And then when you go up the ladder, you get people like, like James Randi and people like that are, get in there and, try to sabotage different things or whatever. And it's, with half the time it's what they're coming up with isn't really, it's just so far behind where psi research is that it's not helpful.
Mike?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I would agree with that. That's why I tend to stay low pro and don't really interact with many other teams. We're busy enough as it is. We got enough going on. Drama, we have a no drama policy on our team. You create drama, you take a bite on drama, you're probably not going to be on the team much longer. It just there's no room for it. With I know we've talked about paranormal drama lots on your show, Dave, but it happens all the time. But it's a waste of time. That's not what we're there for. We're there to go help people with their experience.
Yeah. And that's it. There's just no time for it. And it's, if these people spent the majority, the amount of time that they spent looking at other people's websites and trying to sabotage and this, that, and the other thing, if they spent that time on their clients, my God, I think they might actually be accomplishing something.
Is there a type of case, Morgan, that you will not take, that you're just like, no, I'm not into that, not doing it? Or is it on for pretty much any type of client who calls?
Definitely the attention seekers. You can, like Mike was saying earlier, you can weed them out pretty quick in the interviews. You can definitely sort of start to pick out, okay, this isn't right, or you get talking with somebody, you can start to pinpoint the mental illness. I had a friend of mine message me about a girl that she was working with, and the girl was describing symptoms of, there was some serious mental decline. And I'm obviously not a psychologist, so I can't put my finger on what it was, but it sure wasn't paranormal phenomenon. And so once you can kind of interview these people, and you get a bead pretty quickly, but ultimately the ones who I really will back away from are just the people that, as you're talking to them, you realize how entrenched they are with victimhood. And at that point, I'm like, I'm not the answer to what you're looking for, because that's the one thing about the Teaching the Living program is it's like, you got to own your stuff. And, if you're telling me a list of, 50 excuses as to why you can't, and otherwise, then we've really got nothing to talk about. If they're not ready to sit down and really deal with what's going on with them, at that point, I'm just, we're done talking,
Well, that brings up actually a good point. There are people out there who are seeking the attention of being able to say that their home is haunted. Have you ever come across clients that, in the end, they bring you there to investigate, almost to show off their ghosts then, rather than actually seeking help, because they're addicted to that type of attention that they can have? Now they can go to their friends and say, oh, I had a paranormal team over, and there was a bunch of, highly educated people over at my house, and they had a bunch of technological gear, and it becomes a part of that entire story for them, rather than being about trying to get help.
Yeah, and what's really funny is that usually you can pick those people out, because the first thing out of their mouth is, we had these other people in. and you kind of get tipped off. Yeah, right? And it's like you kind of get tipped off right away, where it's like, we had these people in, oh, and we had this person in, and oh, my friend said. So yeah, apart from, every once in a while you'll get a case where, the client will be like, oh my God, I had this team come in and they literally screwed me for, $300 or something like that, like, charged them money or something stupid. But yeah, like, and in those cases, it's just most of the time that these people have been ripped off and now they are really stuck. But yeah, as soon as you start hearing, there's an excited tone that comes with the people. Mike, I'm sure you've heard it a million times. But there's this excited tone of, oh, we had these people in, and and these people, and you should have seen what happened. And right away. It's really obvious.
We only got about
the paranormal shoppers. That's what I call them.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
That is a nice term. We only got about 5 minutes left tonight on Ghosts of the Great White North. And Morgan, I would love to end this with a really good story that you have. Maybe what would you say your top story is that you haven't shared tonight, but one that's really stuck with you? Could be positive, could be negative, could be a Christmas type story. Tell us one.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's a good one. This one happened. This has been happening to me for a while, and this is really a positive thing. So, my dad passed away. It was about 2006 or so, and awesome guy. But I've got a little snake here at home. He's almost 15 years old, and he's a ball python named Galen. And snakes, pythons specifically, are really incredible because they have the ability to not only see UV through infrared spectrum, like they've got a ridiculous vision, but they can also see in thermal imagery as well through these little heat-sensing pits in their top lip. And what's interesting is that Galen, he's so sweet. Like, he's this little guy. He's unbelievably friendly, and he loves his family to pieces. And with the family members he's really, really close with, which is about 3, he is just really affectionate, and he'll greet the people that he knows. And what's been interesting over the last, X number of years, he was really close to my dad. He really loved him. And
this is a snake?
Moments. This is a snake, yeah.
Oh.
And there are moments where we'll be sitting there like on the couch or whichever, and he sits up and he clearly sees something. He's drilled in and focused on something, and he'll sort of follow it around the room a little bit. But whatever he's seeing, he'll go and he'll greet them, and he gets really excited, and he'll have this interaction with them that's fascinating to watch, and it'll go on for about 20 minutes or so. And then whatever it is he's looking at will disappear through a wall or something, because you'll watch his focus move. And it's almost like he kind of sees whatever it is going, and he gets kind of disappointed. It's like, whatever it is leaving. But it's the most fascinating thing, because if you didn't know somebody was standing there that he knew, you'd swear to God there was someone there. And so I think that it's quite possibly my dad, which is really wicked. I can't see whatever he's seeing, but it's somebody that he recognizes. It's someone that he's very familiar with. And about every 6 months or so, whoever this is comes and visits, and he sees them point blank every time. So that's something that's kind of an ongoing thing that's pretty fantastic and pretty special, and special for him too. So.
Do you feel you're on your quest here as we start to wrap things up? Do you feel that you're any closer to any sort of answers of solving some of these mysteries?
I think there's always stuff that's coming up, and there's, you always end up with questions, but the thing is you got to be okay with the questions. And there is, for me anymore, there is just no mistaking at all that we have a relationship with, whatever you want to call it, non-physical or source or, whatever. And to me, it's a really sacred, special relationship. And, having those, all the answers I don't think it's anything that we're ever going to have. I think the joy of being able to be in question of our capabilities and what we can do it's just part of the excitement of all of this. So, I don't think we're ever, I think I'm a little closer to really understanding it, but, we speak 2 different languages, and with science and the paranormal sometimes. And, we want to talk out of our heads, but this is non-physical, is about the heart language. And once you kind of switch dialects, you can kind of understand what we're experiencing a little better.
Morgan, 20 seconds. Tell everybody where they can find haunted hotels or haunted hospitals. I apologize.
It is Haunted Hospitals is on Travel and Escape Network every Friday night, and it's on Quest Red in the UK every Thursday. So that'll be on tomorrow. And you can find me at entityseeker.ca. And that's it.
Wonderful. Merle, it's been a great 2018 with you, my friend, on Ghosts of the Great White North. Thank you so much, buddy. And Morgan, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you as well.
You guys
appreciate your time. And, of course, coming up next, we have Olaf Phillips with the SOR Newswire coming up.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose, Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere. The best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com. Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
We've rounded third. We are heading for home tonight on the mighty SOR. And with that, we get to the SOR News Wire from Paranoia Magazine, the man, the myth, the Team Stump legend, Mr. Olaf Phillips. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR News Wire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine and Olaf Phillips, editor and owner of Paranoia. We get to the weird, the strange, the WTF as the news never stops. Olaf, how you doing, man?
Greetings and salutations.
Always a pleasure to have you here. Always a pleasure to have you here, buddy. You know, we just finished up with Mike Morin and Ghosts of the Great White North, final time for this year. And they brought up him and Morgan Knudsen, a paranormal investigator from the television show Haunted Hospitals. They brought up a good point. Have you ever heard of people actually bringing in paranormal investigative teams to their homes just so they can try and sabotage them and debunk the team?
I've never heard of it, but I believe it.
Yeah. I you know, out of all the times Mike and I talked, I had never heard that story that his team had actually had that happen, which is kind of weird. But I didn't think people would, you know, in the paranormal community would stoop that low. It's kind of weird. Just certain things you just don't expect.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, you know, paranormal investigation is like UFOs and conspiracies and everything else. You know, it is a world that eats itself. I mean, the people, you know, if you have any notoriety at all, you know, priority number one is to take you out, right? You know, jealousy or whatever, you know, people come after you.
Absolutely. You know what? I want to take the time here before we go any deeper into it, Olaf, with anything. Because next week, obviously, is Christmas. We got Christmas Eve on Monday night and then Christmas Day, obviously, on Tuesday. So I do want to let people know that I had originally planned for an open line show on Friday night, so 2 nights away. I'm going to bring in a guest that night instead. And what I'm going to do is, I've had a lot of requests, believe it or not, for a Christmas night show. And as things are winding down, because we're actually having our Christmas a couple days before, because we're traveling down to the coast to spend it with my parents for the weekend. And so we're not really doing anything here on Christmas Day. So I'm going to give you the night off, obviously. But we're going to do a show on Christmas night. Just a call-in show. I'll bring in some friends, whoever wants to come hang out with me, and we'll just talk. Whatever topic. Right. Doesn't matter. We're going to open up the phone lines for 3 hours that night. We'll do a thought of the day, of course. But you know what? There's a lot of there's a lot of people here who are relying on this show for their nightly entertainment. Whether that's to put them to sleep, no offense, or whether that's just to take their minds off of a stressful or busy day that they just want to escape. And I'm sitting here thinking on Christmas night, what am I going to do? I'm going to be sitting around literally doing nothing because that's a show night, and my body is so used to having a show night that I figured, even though it's Christmas, let's do it. What the heck? Let's do it.
I rely on this show every night to put me to sleep.
Yeah, me too.
I come on here, and your voice is so melodic that I'm actually sleeping while I'm doing the news.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know if that's a good thing.
I'm not awake right now.
Well,
I'm asleep as we speak. This
question from the chat room from Renee down in New Zealand. She's asking what the repeat will be. We're going to replay the show from just a couple of weeks ago, Varla Ventura, on Christmas entities, from Krampus to Christmas ghosts and so on. So that's what we're going to replay that night, is the Varla Ventura show on the 24th, and then 25th, we're going to go live. We're going to go live that night. Our audience deserves it, so why not? Oh, yeah, you're in New Zealand, Renee. You're in New Zealand, so literally that'll be Christmas Day show for you, will be the repeat. The following day will be the live show on the 26th for you, and Aussie Rob House tomorrow looking. So that's where we're at.
The future.
But yeah, we're going to be here for everybody.
In the future. They are in the future.
Totally. You know what the best part about having listeners over in Australia and New Zealand is when one of these end of the world prophecies come out, I just contact them and say, has the world ended over there yet? And usually for 100% of the time I've got, nope, world's still going. So therefore the rapture hasn't happened. And I know I can go about my day. They are great predictors over there. Great predictors. What do you have for the news for us, my friend?
Popeye's offering emotional support chicken at the airport. Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen is getting in on the emotional support animal trend by selling boxes of emotional support chicken at the Philadelphia airport. The eatery said travelers at Terminal C of Philadelphia International Airport can now purchase a chicken-shaped box labeled emotional support chicken to take on their flight. We know holiday travel can be frustrating, and there's no better way to ease stress than with a box of delicious Popeyes fried chicken and a good laugh. Hope Diaz, the company's chief marketing officer, said in a statement. Emotional support animals have been in the headlines recently as a series of high-profile incidents involving unusual species, including a peacock, led some airlines to tighten their restrictions on animals. Sorry, Fido. Popeye's emotional support chicken doesn't bark on the plane, Popeyes tweeted. So,
well, it's nice that they're putting out some emotional support chicken over the holidays. That's really important.
I think it's important. Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
I think so.
I mean, I read a story about an emotional support squirrel. I think emotional support chicken is probably more tasty.
I would say that. I would absolutely agree with you on that one. Let's move on to the next one.
The Smurfling. Taiwan Coast Guard chases swimming dog for an hour. A Taiwan Coast Guard boat spent more than an hour chasing a dog spotted swimming in a ship docking area, officials said. A video from the docking area in Kaohsiung shows the Coast Guard boat chasing after a dog as it casually paddles through the water. Captain Kai Meng-yi said Coast Guard personnel and Marine police tried throwing a flotation device to the canine, but it repeatedly dodged the ring. He said police were eventually able to catch the dog with a fishing net and haul it on board. It took more than an hour of following the dog in the boat before we could rescue him, G said.
Well, that dog was probably freaked out. That dog was probably so freaked out. Why not?
I hear you.
What's amazing?
I've got some bad news, though, Dave. Oh,
did the dog get eaten by a shark? Is that the bad news?
No. Let me know when you're ready. I want you to get your emotional support chicken and be ready.
Hey, nothing can be worse than Mike Morin coming on the air saying his partner at work, who's like 24, 25 years old, had never heard of Guns N' Roses when Paradise City was playing on the radio. How horrific of news can it be?
This is pretty horrific, actually.
Run with it.
Excuse me. Montana man shoots a guy he thinks is Bigfoot. The alleged shooter supposedly told his victim, "If I see something that looks like Bigfoot, I just shoot at it." A Montana man who thought he was shooting at Bigfoot on Sunday ended up making a huge mistake. The supposed Sasquatch was actually a fellow human setting up targets to shoot in the forest near Helena. The 27-year-old victim narrowly avoided death when one bullet hit 3 feet to his left. The other bullet whizzed by him on the right, according to the Idaho Statesman. The police said the victim tried to avoid more gunfire by running into the trees. Before he was able to confront the shooter, a man in a black Ford F-150. The alleged shooter told the victim, "I thought you were Bigfoot," Lewis County Sheriff Leo Dutton told the paper. The victim added the suspect told him, "I don't target practice, but if I see something that looks like Bigfoot, I just shoot at it." The alleged shooter then reportedly told his victim to wear orange if he didn't want to be confused for Bigfoot. It seemed like a non-emotional approach to something that's extremely serious, Dutton told the local station KTMF-TV. The alleged victim told dispatchers the incident occurred on Sunday, but he didn't report it until Monday, saying he didn't think it was necessary, according to the Helena Independent Record. In addition, the man who was not able to provide a description of the alleged shooter or the license plate of the truck. Deputies have not found a vehicle matching the description, but Dutton told the Idaho Statesman that a woman has come forward saying she too had been shot at by a man in a black F-150. The woman didn't mention Bigfoot, but she was able to give a description of the alleged attacker. Dutton said authorities are working to try to find the man.
My goodness.
He's on the prowl.
So it sounds like this guy just wanted to try and shoot a human and hunt down a human by using the term Bigfoot instead.
Bigfoot. Bigfoot means human. It's a keyword.
Oh, yeah.
When I say Bigfoot, I mean human. Okay?
Sure.
I thought that was pretty bad.
Sure. Yeah. No, that is this guy going to survive? I mean, that's the important part. Oh, he didn't? I thought he did get hit. I knew he was shot at.
No, he ran deeper into the forest and the guy couldn't find him.
Interesting.
And then he confronted the guy, and the guy's like, "Oh, I thought you were Bigfoot running through the forest." He's like, "No." He's like, "Well, if you're Bigfoot, I'm going to shoot at you." Okay. We're orange.
Idiot.
Okay.
What an idiot.
Just saying.
This guy's looking for that
real idiot.
Well, this guy's looking for that $1 million paycheck on Sasquatch. That's what he's doing. He thinks that he's going to hunt one down and get that $1 million paycheck and become famous. That's what he's doing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We got time for one more.
One more. Uh-oh. Well, this one keeps within the season in which we find ourselves.
Hold on. Is it a Florida story?
It is. I have three.
Okay. Okay, we got time for one, maybe two.
Well, let's see. I'll keep it brief. Wreath thief. Police say Florida man stole Christmas wreath, hung it on his own door. A Florida man is accused of stealing a Christmas wreath off the front door of a home and hanging it outside his own home. News outlets report 55-year-old Angel Hugo Souls Romagura is facing, that's a long name, is facing burglary and petty theft charges in the December 7th incident that was captured on a Ring front door camera. Hialeah Police Lieutenant Eddie Rodriguez tells WBLJ that Romagura turned himself in Tuesday night after learning that the police were searching for him. Investigators had spotted the wreath hanging outside his home, which is 4 miles from the victim's home. Romagura was held on a $10,500 bond. Jail records don't list an attorney for him. So he stole a wreath and hung it on his own door.
Good man. Good man. Way to go. Way to go. Okay, let's get to one
very
more.
Brief.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you can take it, though. The ramifications of this are pretty staggering. Ready?
Let's do it.
A Florida man accused of detonating pipe bomb after being evicted from shed. A man wanted in connection with setting off an explosive device in an Oak Hill home has been arrested, according to Volusia County Sheriff's Office. Deputies say, gotta love this name, Troy Phoenix, 36, was taken into custody Wednesday in Edgewater after detonating a pipe bomb last week at the home on Beehive Drive. According to the Sheriff's Office, Phoenix was upset he was being evicted from a shed on the property, and while involved in an argument with his family, threatened to blow up the house and everyone in it because he was evicted from his shed.
Oh, that's, you know what? I got no comment, man. Let's just go straight to the thought of the day.
I thought you'd like that one.
How do you even follow that up?
Oh, I got one to
from the
follow
shed.
it. We don't have time.
Save it for tomorrow, buddy. Thought of the day happens every night at this time.
No. You got to do this.
Okay.
Florida, I'll just do the headline. Florida man stuffs foot-long sub down his pants and sandwich that. Tomorrow. That's how you follow it.
Thought of the day happens every night at this time, where we put a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages and we read your responses on the air. Today's thought of the day: what's the best Christmas gift you've ever received? Mark. Mine would be my kid, although she wasn't born on Christmas, but every year that I get to watch her unwrap her presents is the best gift I could ever ask for. Ah, you're a sweetie, Mark. You're just a sweetie.
Here.
Heidi.
Here.
A meteorite with provenance from where it fell. Amazing to hold something in my hand that is not from this planet. That's kind of cool. Sean. A black puppy named Shadow when I was 10. Robert. I bought myself some awesome bourbon. Renee in New Zealand. I would say that my Christmas gift is all year and it keeps on giving. My husband, Ken. What's the frequency, Kenneth? I'm just throwing that in there. Kind, compassionate, and loving man that I am lucky to have in my life. Though I did not meet him on Christmas, I have always felt blessed to have him in my life and share our lives together. You are just way too romantic. I'm thinking Ken wrote that. I'm thinking Ken broke into Renee's profile and wrote that. That's my opinion. Sherry. My first grandson, Derek, will be 10 on Christmas Eve. That's a nice Christmas present. Rick, the original Nintendo, the same year it was released. Brett, a first-generation Honda Mini 50 in 1969. Good times, man. Kelly, this may sound corny. However, for the past 6 years, my wife has given me the best gift in that I no longer feel alone when I am around family. She has taken me out of a depression. I rarely have anxiety attacks anymore when I'm out in a giant crowd of people. Love my friend. That is my best gift. JJ, to have 11 days off from work. That's the best gift I have gotten the last few years. Uncle Dale, my daughter, a Christmas Eve baby. That's pretty awesome. I'm going to throw mine in there. About 6-7 years ago now. No. When was it? It would have been about maybe five years ago now. My mother on December 23rd was told she was cancer-free. That was an awesome Christmas. That's one of my favorites. One of my favorites, man. Or the other one would be when Mrs. SOR and I found out we were pregnant with little SOR. And for Christmas, we gave the two big sisters each a package. And they had to try and figure out the riddle. And because we're a blended family, my daughter's a little bit older. She got it first. And the middle daughter really didn't get it until she saw the ultrasound picture. And that was kind of cool. So those are my two highlight moments right there, man. How about yours, Olaf? We got about 30 seconds.
My sons.
I know that's easy.
Definitely my sons.
Absolutely.
My youngest, his birthday is actually today.
Oh, wonderful! Happy birthday, little Paranoia.
Yeah, little Paranoia is his birthday is today. But
nice.
Watching them open presents is a joy that you cannot compare.
I agree with you. On that. And on that note, my friend, where can people find Paranoia Magazine?
ParanoiaMagazine.com, of course, and you need to listen to the podcast because it's awesome.
It truly is. And you can find the SOR Newswire on our news section at spacedoutradio.com or our Facebook page. Make sure you give it a like, the SOR Newswire. Appreciate you coming on. Olive, we'll talk to you tomorrow night.
Sounds good.
All right. We want to say a big thank you to Mike Morin for helping me host Ghosts of the Great White North here on Spaced Out Radio in 2018. And, of course, going into 2019, Morgan Knudsen as well for being on the show with some great paranormal stories. I think she'll be around a little bit more. Tomorrow night on the program, Brian Price joins us to talk about the Deep Blue Hole of Belize. That's a Discovery show that I was on a couple weeks ago. We're going to find out what happened down there. Big thank you to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. Thank you for tuning us in. Special thank you to everybody in the chat rooms tonight. And, of course, on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Thanks for helping us grow. Thanks for being here and supporting us, getting your comments in, your snark in, your questions in. We absolutely love it because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a good one, everybody. Good night.